Okay, we are back live. Thank you for joining us again, community and board members and administrative members. We are back in our action section of the agenda. We have a motion to end at 10:20, so we have 20 minutes to finish these last two things. Do I have a motion to approve policies 401, 402, 403, 404, and 405?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. We'll now turn it over to Board Member Michelson again for further information or explanation about these policies.
We have 5 policies that came through on our sequence of policies to review in the 400 series. These 4 policies have very minimal changes, grammar changes, wording changes. I recommend that we approve them. And Chair Allenberg, if you'd like, I can break down the 5 and list them.
No, thank you.
Nope, we're good. We read them.
Does anyone have any questions or comments about these 5 policies? We will now vote by roll call on policies 401, 402, 403, 404, and 405.
Allenberg.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Michelson.
Aye.
Aye.
Ron Friedman.
Aye.
Policies 401, 402, 403, 404, and 405 are approved. Do I have a motion to approve policy 601?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Again, we have a policy that we reviewed last month. In fact, we had a robust discussion on it last month. We've had a number of robust discussions on it. And this is policy 601, which relates to curriculum in Edina schools. There's a number of updates to the language, to key dates, and there's substantive changes too. I think we're all familiar with it. We can a little bit if we'd like. So, Ellen.
Yeah, I have a proposed amendment to 601 that I walked in. I believe John can present it to the board.
Are you making an amendment?
Yeah, I'd like to propose an amendment to 601. So I guess we'll need to have a second.
Yeah, does someone want to second the amendment?
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, I didn't see who seconded it.
Owen?
Thank you.
Okay, so
We have a motion up to add this verbiage to the policy 601.
And I would be adding it. I'm proposing to add it to. It looks like there's an error in the numbering system on section number 4. It starts with A, B, C, D, E, and then it. I would be adding it to what the second B is on section 4.
I think we need a moment here to read it.
And I'll just say what it is. I'm just putting into words what the administration has assured the board several times, that they have no plans to eliminate the enriched classes currently offered in the middle schools. So that just puts that assurance into words. But it puts it into words in the format of the K-12 talent framework. So those courses listed on the bottom are all the courses we currently offer enriched courses at in our secondaries, in middle schools. And at the last meeting where the administration spoke to us about their plans. They said that they had no plans, and they assured us that we were going to be able to keep our enriched classes. And I am looking at the talent framework. And so under the talent framework, all that I am stating is what's in the talent framework under accelerated.
Do any board members have any comments about the proposed amendment?
So I'm not particularly enamored of the process of making an amendment at the last second. I think that the board has shown that it's never a great idea to, at the last minute, make a change and then adopt it. So the normal process would be, if there's a policy, it would go through policy committee, it would get input from administration. This policy has been subject to discussion for months. And personally, I'm not in favor of making a last minute change. I have no issue with approving 601 and then having this go to policy for a separate review, because I'm not also tied to every policy has to follow a specific order of review if there is cause for deviating from it. But I'm not interested in making a last second change and trying to read at 10 o'clock at night and decide if that's appropriate, and to do so without our process being followed, which again is through policy committee, input from administration. So that's my view.
So what the reason that I'm asking you to do this is either you could approve this, which we'll just put into policy. This is exactly what we are currently offering. It's not going to cost the district any more money. It's just saying, yes, in fact, we mean what we say when we say we are assuring you that we're not going to change our enriched courses. So I don't know really, Lenny, why you would think that, you can read it. It's pretty straightforward. It's not hard. It's as straightforward as policy language can be, unless you wanted to take that out and just say, we will continue to offer enriched classes. But that's not exactly what the K-12 talent development framework does. So I'm
going to give the board members that, since
Sure.
this is your,
sure.
Janie, do you want to speak?
Yeah, I think, so I have a few concerns about this, and I think the main one is in setting precedent that we are calling out one particular group of students. And this was the same issue I had with the previous iteration of this, is if we are calling out one specific subset of students and kind of making a promise, if you will, without really understanding that at any given time, whether it be our finances, our resources, our teacher capacity, our classroom capacity, especially now with everything we have going on, I am really hesitant to call out and make promises without understanding at any given time what the full scope of our district looks like. I don't see us having a paragraph in there about ensuring that we're going to have, remedial level or introduction to math or reading in the middle schools. Those are classes that we offer. I'm just hesitant to really call out and make something so set in stone and create that precedent. So while I agree that they're having conversations that we are not getting rid of our enriched courses or the classes that we have now, I'm extremely hesitant to put this into policy. So I'm just going to share that as my feedback.
So we have about 2 more minutes to talk about this amendment, and then we need to talk about the policy in general. I share Lenny's concern from a process perspective, and then my concern about this amendment is ironically my same concern about the previous policy, which I find it actually limiting. I think that we should have differentiation for grades 6 through 8 in social studies. And that was my concern about the previous thing. When we spell out in policies specifics like this, we're limiting what our teaching and learning can do, what our teachers can do. It confuses me why we would do it for middle school. And I think parents are going to say, why aren't you doing it for elementary school and high school? I just don't think from a process perspective, it makes sense to do this at the 11th hour. And why are we from a talent development perspective, it taught all sorts of different ways you can develop talent, and we're only pulling these classes out. To me, it's problematic. Are there any other comments, or do we want to vote on this amendment? Adding this amendment.
I won't make a comment other than to say that I like it and I could go with it.
I just want to make a comment. I am not in support of this. I think one of the things, and this goes to our conversation I know about the whole policy, is that our job is to make sure that we're looking at all policy through multiple perspectives. And I just want to be very clear, advanced academics is actually growing with the talent development framework. That's from K to 12. And what is bothersome about this amendment is the language in here is an interpretation that there's a sentence in here that's actually not, it's very opinionated about differentiated instruction. And I have concerns that this would be brought in because I think it's setting a narrative that somehow the talent development framework is taking away academic, advanced academics in Edina Public Schools. That is not happening. Talent development framework actually expands. It gives more opportunities for students, including more rigor. And this has been, I mean, this is not my opinion. This is based on the data and the input from our community, MCGT, the District Advisory Council that was presented the talent development framework last year, our teachers, our principals. And so I find this very limiting. And so I'm ready to move on. So,
Well, I want to, if I'm the only one, is everybody else commented? This is not a limiting because it can be more than this, but the policy that is written and the framework is more, it is not at all clear what we are providing. So if you look at the new wording, the talent development framework they are just barely definitions. It is not a commitment by the district to provide anything, not anything to young scholars. This was one of my biggest points that I made back in December. It does not support any with words and action. And it does not at all protect the courses that we currently have. And so I think that's a difference of opinion that we're just going to have to agree to disagree on. And I think we need to vote. You have a motion on the table we need to vote on. So Sarah, I'm going to ask you to do a roll call vote for the motion for this amendment on the table.
Okay.
Which is adding this verbiage to the policy.
Okay. Allenberg,
No.
Fox,
Nay.
Green,
nay.
Jones,
Aye.
Michelson,
Aye.
Shaw,
Nay.
Wallen-Friedman.
Nay.
So the motion to add the amended language to the policy is not approved. Now we have a motion on the table to actually approve policy 601 itself. We also have only 5 more minutes to finish the board meeting. So are there any comments on policy 601 itself?
Yes.
And I will just make two comments, and I want other people to that I do support this. I think it offers multiple pathways for multiple types of advancement for multiple learners, which was my concern before. I think that it also, from a best practice perspective, going to actually something that you just mentioned, Ellen, I think that our board policy should create conditions for student success at our district, but not dictate operational and teaching practices. And that's what the last policy did. It dictated teaching practices. This actually sets parameters to set our students up for success. To me, that's what strategic governance is. Anytime you have a policy that you're going to have to update every time we have a new course catalog coming out, I think you've set up a pretty questionable policy. And I'll move on to anyone else that has any comments that they want to make.
I have a couple of comments. I think if anything that has happened recently is the reality that Edina is not living in a vacuum. And we will either accept the fact that we're meeting the needs of our students by providing them course offerings that are competitive with our nearest neighbors, and by offering course options that are attractive to their students and meet their needs, and also acknowledge that direct instruction is incredibly important to all of our students, and that is where they can find engagement and challenge. And so I am disappointed in this policy. I will not support it because it is unclear, and it does not, and it absolutely does not show the people in our community that we really mean what we say, that we are going to support all students.
Janie?
So my take is a little bit different on this, Ellen, and that is that I applaud our district for taking an approach like this, because what I feel and have felt so strongly about is that more students can see themselves in this policy versus a small number of students that could have seen themselves in a more restrictive policy. I happen to have some of them living in my home, so maybe I take this very personally. Our schools are meant to help all students and not just some. And our schools are meant to engage and enrich and ignite passion for learning in all students and not just some. And so I applaud this ability to say our framework, our approach is going to be to try to find that in more than just a small number of students. So I'm grateful to the work that's been done on this.
Lenny?
So we've had this discussion many times. My goal is to try to meet the needs of our students, including those who are looking for more advanced academics. As I've said before, I think there are multiple ways to do that, including, for example, compacted classes that never seem to get mentioned in any of these proposed amendments. But I think the compacted classes are a great way to meet students' needs. And so I think we need to adopt the policy and then pay attention to what we do as a district. And what we have done as a district is to offer enriched classes, offer compacted classes, and look for ways to expand the opportunities for all of our students.
Thank you, Lenny. We'll now vote by roll call to approve policy 601.
Ellenberg,
Aye.
Fox,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Jones,
No.
Michelson,
Nay.
Shaw,
Oh, aye.
Wallen-Friedman,
Aye.
Policy 601 is approved. We've run out of time for any leadership or committee updates. So with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Our next meeting is Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we have a work session. If you